Well, thank you again, Ron, and everybody here for giving us time to speak about Amazon's capabilities in the generative AI space. I'm a senior leader with Amazon Web Services Solution Architecture team, and I'm joined with my colleague Anuj Patel, who's also a veteran with AWS. Anuj, you want to say hi?
Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Anuj Patel. I'm a principal solution architect with AWS. Nice to meet everyone.
Thank you, Anuj. So thank you again. Like I said, we'll be walking you through Amazon's generative AI stack today and different capabilities that Amazon has been developing in this space. There's a bit of a primer as well about generative AI, how we came to where we are today. We designed this as a generic presentation, starting with the foundations of generative AI and then getting into AWS specific services. Some numbers first. Analysts estimate that generative AI will increase the global GDP by 7% over the next 10 years. And that's about 2/3 of all US and EU jobs will be directly affected by it. Generative AI market is expected to reach about 100 billion by 2030. So that's why it's pretty obvious 80% of the current AI research is actually focused on generative AI. So just some facts for you. Now, generative AI, as you know, has taken the world by storm. We have experienced some of the wonderful things that it can do in terms of text generation, image generation, natural language processing, understanding, all of that. The true power of generative AI, as we know, goes beyond just a search engine or a chatbot. It will transform every aspect of how companies and organizations operate, and we are seeing that live. The potential of generative AI is incredibly exciting. Now, it's another fact. Goldman Sachs forecasts a 7 trillion increase in the world global GDP and a productivity growth uplift of about 1.5 percentage points over the next 10-year period. So again, some very significant numbers. It's just to reiterate how important this is and how AWS is evaluating this and putting its investments into the generative AI stack. Now, again, this, a lot of you probably already know this, but all of this, how we got to this, the core of generative AI lies in the use of deep learning, particularly transformer models and neural networks. So the weights and biases that we adjust that mimics the human brain, playing a crucial role in models' ability to learn and generate new content based on its training data. So how is generative AI different from a traditional AI? Generative AI is a type of artificial intelligence that can create new and unique content, images, text, audio. It uses advanced machine learning techniques to generate new and original novel outputs rather than just analyzing or classifying existing information or existing data. So random cut forest, k-means, that's all traditional AI, but it works on existing data. Whereas generative AI, it creates new outputs for you. Let's quickly dive into. Before we go there, it's one more thing here is the foundations here are some pre-trained models that have been trained on large amounts of data.
Hey, Manny.
Yes.
Manny, you may have a little pop-up on your screen I'm seeing. You might just...
Oh, okay. Better?
Yeah.
That's Amazon IT telling me to update some things. Anyway, so it's important to note that at the core of generative AI are foundational pre-trained models that are pre-trained on a large number of parameters that can make them very capable of learning complex concepts. Foundation models are AI models that have been trained on huge amounts of online data, billions of parameters. You talk about Anthropic cloud models, you talk about Mistral, you talk about GPT vision models. All of those rely on these internet scale, billions of parameters of training, and it takes months to train these models. This allows them to understand and apply their knowledge in many different situations, as we have seen. Now, the power of foundation models for organizations, for businesses, lies in the fact that they can be customized to do specific tasks for businesses, for organizations, using much less data and computing power than building a new model from scratch. So customers are really excited about this prospect because it allows them to adapt these pre-trained existing models to their own business needs. So you don't have to stand up something from scratch. You're building something on top of something which has already been pre-trained for you. Some of the use cases here, they are primarily in three categories: enhancing customer experiences, boosting your own employee productivity, or optimizing your backend processes. A little bit more detail here on each one of these. I'll not go into every one of these. You'll have the slides later on to look at. If we take the first one, for example, in the healthcare and life sciences space, we have the ambient digital scribe. By the way, these are all solutions available on Amazon Solution Library if you want to take a look. This automatically creates transcripts, extracts, key details, and create summaries from clinicians and patient interaction. So basically, a doctor and a patient, when they're talking, it's basically taking all those notes as a live scribe would be doing. Product design in the industrial manufacturing space, generative AI can be used to create new product designs based on set parameters and constraints. It can generate multiple design options and optimize for factors like cost, materials, performance, etc. We were a little bit early in this space when COVID-19 hit and we had supply chain issues. We in fact were able to switch some of our chips in order to based on recommendations made by some GenAI engines in our product design, so that we could mitigate some of the risks that were posed by the supply chain constraints. Now, I'll let you go through these use cases. The slides will be shared later. But if you have any questions on these, feel free to reach out to Anuj and myself. Now, let's dive into what AWS is doing in this space. Now, to bring what you need to harness the power of generative AI for your organization, AWS defined 3 distinct layers in the GenAI stack. Each layer is comprehensive and complete in itself. And AWS is vested deeply in supporting each one of these currently and in the future as well. AWS aims to give customers the confidence and assurance that they need to deploy generative AI applications at scale while maintaining robust security and compliance controls. Security and responsibly developing these applications is at the center of our design. Like my previous speakers alluded to also, there can be hallucinations, there can be some profanity, some content which can come as part of the training. We take care of that as part of the offering, and pretty much all of it is free of any kind of content which you would not like your customers or your employees to see. Now let's dive into the first layer. The first layer of the generative AI stack in AWS is for developers and companies wanting to build these foundation models themselves. The primary primitives here are compute required to train the models and generate inferences, aka predictions, and the software that makes it easier to build these models. Starting with compute, the key is the chip inside it, the silicon. To date, virtually all the leading foundation models have been trained on some kind of an NVIDIA chip or a GPU. We continue to offer a broad set or a broad collection of NVIDIA GPUs as part of AWS offering, as perhaps the most comprehensive set of GPUs you'll see in the cloud of any other provider. So that's where we start. That's where we like the set of first layer. Now, we didn't stop there. Customers have asked us to push the envelope on price performance for AI chips. As a result, we have built custom AI chips named Trainium and inference chips called Inferentia. So there are like 2 different chips, one for training and one for inferencing and prediction. Both meaningfully very price performant, and we continue to bring out new generations of these new chips. Past fall, that is fall of 23, leading foundational model maker Anthropic has announced publicly that it will use Trainium and Inferentia to build, train, and deploy its future FMs. We are already working with several customers who are in the same boat. Anthropic, I just mentioned, Airbnb, Hugging Face, Qualtrics. There are many customers like that who are adopting Amazon's silicon to train and deploy their models. There we go again. Now, that was the hardware part. We talked about NVIDIA chips available on AWS. We talked about training and inference chips, again, available on AWS. And you have the ability to pick whatever set works for you. The next thing is, fine, you have the chips, but how are you going to use the chips? So we have Amazon SageMaker Jumpstart. This is a service which is basically using the chips that I just mentioned under the hood. So AWS SageMaker Jumpstart provides a comprehensive platform to host, train, fine-tune, and run inference on the foundation models. You as a user can access a wide range of pre-trained models from popular hubs like Hugging Face. So there is integration with Hugging Face, and you can see a lot of other model providers in the part which is labeled as number 1 in this slide. Also, what we are doing as part of SageMaker Jumpstart is ability to deploy these models provided by, for example, Hugging Face, on SageMaker Jumpstart, and then do a one-click inference and fine-tune them on your custom data sets. Jumpstart also offers solution templates, example notebooks, to accelerate the development of machine learning applications. The platform's infrastructure layer, managed services, and tools work together to democratize access to generative AI, reduce costs and complexity of model development, and empower organizations to deploy their own custom generative AI application. So it's a whole suite which lets you not only host the model, you pull it down from a model hub, it hosts for you, then it gives you an endpoint through which you can actually send API calls to make inferences. Now, one thing which I want to definitely mention here is responsible AI. There is a service within SageMaker called SageMaker Clarify. This Clarify will help you do responsible AI development. Anything which is a bias which has been introduced during model training, or any kind of model comparison that you need to do, you can do with the help of SageMaker Clarify, which is built into the SageMaker suite of applications. So together, starting with the silicon, pick your silicon and use SageMaker Jumpstart. And then, depending on you want to do training, fine-tuning, inferencing, all of that is easily facilitated using the SageMaker Jumpstart platform. Now, the challenge here, though SageMaker is supposed will make it very easy for you to do things, it is not for all the organizations or all the personas in the industry. Building foundation models from scratch requires resources, it requires time, it requires months of training sometimes, and it requires GPUs. We are trying to ease some of the pains around the expense of the GPUs by introducing Trainium and Inferentia chips. But it also requires specialized skill sets. You need data scientists. You need people who understand, the model outputs and how the data should be changed, or how the biases and the weight should be adjusted in order to develop your own models. So that kind of makes the challenge even harder. So organizations that need a simplified programmatic way to harness the power of foundation models to build generative AI applications, without the complexity of managing underlying infrastructure, needing all of these specialized human capital or resources. Now we shift our focus to the upper layers of the stack. Now, the second layer of the stack, the middle layer, is for the organizations seeking to leverage an existing foundation model, customize it with their own data, and leverage Amazon's security features, responsible AI development to build a generative AI application, all as a managed service. Organizations, basically, what they're looking for is a straightforward process to build high-quality production-ready generative AI applications to meet the cost and speed to market requirements. So basically, as you move up in the stack, the DIY part of building begins to fade away, and Amazon does a lot of heavy lifting for you in terms of simplifying how to build a generative AI application. So the whole stack caters to different, the three layers cater to different personas. Like I said, I've covered layer number one. I'm going to pass it over to Anuj to talk about layer two and layer three of the AWS GenAI Stack. Over to you, Anuj.
Thanks, Manny, for talking about the bottom layer and introducing the middle layer. And you talked about some of the challenges which is related to model building, training, and a lot of investment at customer end. What if customers want to flexibility of not building their own model, but are looking for models which they can leverage? So in the middle layer, we have a service called Amazon Bedrock, which is a completely managed serverless service, which means you don't need to worry about NVIDIA chips, you don't need to worry about Trainium. Everything is managed by AWS at the back end. But it provides you the flexibility and easy access to a variety of foundation models. And these can include from Amazon and other leading companies like Anthropic, Meta, Mistral, and you can invoke these models with a single API call. This flexibility of choosing models is Amazon Bedrock also empowers builders to choose the right model for their use case. So does Amazon Bedrock just provide you foundation models? It provides you broad capabilities through knowledge bases, agents, where you can do complete multi-step tasks. And you can do fine-tuning with your data, all of which improve your application quality. I think nothing is complete in any AWS service without security. And Amazon Bedrock provides you guardrail. Maybe those guardrails could be to safeguard what question an application will answer. Your data, which is being used for training, is never used by AWS. It is never used to improve the original base model. These models are running in a secured network environment, and Amazon Bedrock supports encryption, with data always encrypted in transit and at rest. To take it further, this platform offers comprehensive monitoring and logging capabilities to support governance and audit requirements. So now we covered up the middle layer, so in which the customers have flexibility to choose their models. What if the customer doesn't know which model to choose? That's where the top layer of the stack comes into picture, which is called the application layer. So in general, Amazon is building a substantial number of GenAI applications across every Amazon consumer business. These range from Rufus, which is our new AI-powered shopping assistants, to an even more intelligent and capable Alexa. Our goal is not only to improve user experience, but to enhance productivity for both consumers and producers. So let's talk about what is AWS doing in this particular domain. In AWS, we are building several generative apps. One of the most compelling apps is our coding companion. We call it Amazon Q for Developer. It's an expert on AWS that writes, debugs, tests, and implement code. It can also do transformation. And then we have Amazon Q for Business, which can query your data repository. Those data repository could be in Salesforce, it could be in ServiceNow, it could be in Slack also. To answer questions, it can summarize the data and carry on conversations and take action without having any specialized knowledge or coding experience. So we covered up Amazon Q Business and Amazon Q Developer. But what about our AWS services? In AWS, we have embedded Amazon Q in many AWS services like Amazon Connect, which is our contact services, Amazon Q in QuickSight, which is our visualization and analytics service. In summary, all the three layers of the AWS GenAI stack comprise a set of primitives that democratize this next phase of AI and will empower internal and external builders to transform virtually every customer experience. With that stated, I will hand it over to Manny.
Thank you very much, Anuj. I hope you got a good flyby of Amazon's approach to generative AI and how Amazon is addressing needs of different personas in the industry, starting from building everything yourself, going to somebody who wants to just use the power of generative AI models, where they know which models they want to use, and then going all the way up where they're just starting out and they just don't even know where to start. So all kinds of personas and all kinds of use cases are covered by AWS. I'll wrap this up by putting this one final slide in front of you. Generative AI is it requires an input and it requires a solid data input. So for generative AI applications to produce optimal results, a data foundation framework is needed. The data has to be curated, clean before you can use it to train your models or fine-tune your models. AWS provides a comprehensive set of data services to ingest, store data. You can see things coming from left to right. Data governance and integration capabilities are all natively provided within AWS. So, the aspect of security, scalability, and responsible generative AI app building is all taken care end to end in AWS, starting with the data foundation, where you ingest, store, and then curate, clean that data, pass that to GenAI models, and then serve those to your customers, internal or external, in a scalable, secure, and responsible way. So that was a quick flyby. Like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I am giving mine and Anuj's LinkedIn contacts here as well. And if you can reach out through Angelbeat, through Ron as well. Again, thank you very much for your time, everybody, and really appreciate your attention here.